My wife insists that our daughter is on her side regarding the divorce. My response, a reckoning awaits. My wife accepted the divorce with chilling ease, and before I could even grasp the reality of it, the papers were delivered to my door while I was far away. Stunned, I reached out to Lena, only to find her resolute in her choice. That's right, she stated with an icy tone, I'll be pursuing a significant amount of alimony. Your neglect has shattered our family. To my utter dismay, my cherished daughter, Hannah, echoed the sentiment, that's right, Daddy. You must face the consequences. The sting of Hannah's betrayal cut deep as she aligned herself with Lena. This will make our lives easier, Lena taunted, her voice dripping with satisfaction. Unbeknownst to them, I was already plotting my response. To quickly secure a divorce, escape to another country, and shift all assets into her name. I am Gavin, a 56-year-old salesman, currently at the helm of the sales department in a leading trading company. Like my father, who also navigated the world of sales, I spent much of my youth abroad, mastering 5 languages along the way. After high school, I sought refuge with my grandparents and enrolled in a prestigious university. Emulating my father's path, I entered a trading company, driven by the ambition to become a globetrotting salesman. Though many opportunities lay before me, I selected my current organization for its dynamic role in global trade. In the face of relentless challenges, from the economic collapse after the bubbles burst to the turmoil of the stock market during the lemon crisis, I emerged with striking accomplishments. The pandemic's grip on the global economy was harsh, yet we are slowly finding our footing again. With overseas business trips back on the agenda, I find myself traveling often, navigating the high-stakes world of vital negotiations as the sales head. Another trip, Pa, Lena said with a sharp edge to her voice as I prepared for my next departure. This one felt like it would linger in the air for a long time. I replied with a steady demeanor, trusting you to manage the house. Lena shot me a smirk, then turned and exited the room. Once I completed my packing, I sought a moment of respite in the living room, only to catch the sound of Lena's disgruntled voice lingering in the air. He's putting on quite the performance, packing alone, a subtle jab at us. Perhaps it's for the best, he clearly doesn't want our assistance. Hannah's voice was soft, almost soothing. I exhaled slowly, stepping back, gathering my thoughts before crossing the threshold into the room. Oh, Dad, are you all set? Hannah inquired, her hand reaching for me, while Lena, consumed by her own thoughts, turned away in silence. I'm prepared to leave, I stated firmly. Tomorrow's early departure looms ahead. This journey stretches ahead, long and winding. I brewed some coffee and retreated to my quarters. For nearly 20 years, Lena and I have lived in separate rooms, each a silent testament to our unspoken rifts. She commanded respect at the company, stationed at the front desk. With her enchanting beauty and natural allure, she drew everyone's gaze. Men from every direction swarmed around her, yearning for a glimpse of her favor. Coming from a distant land, I was inexperienced in the ways of women. I found solace in the camaraderie of my high school and university friends, never having ventured into romance. To Lena, I must have appeared as nothing more than a naive child, unworthy of her attention. As a newcomer, I found myself unexpectedly thrust into the spotlight, gaining recognition as a promising prospect. One fateful day at the reception, Lena discreetly slipped me a hairpin, her phone number etched upon it. While others might have reveled in the gesture, I was too consumed by my work to grasp the significance of the company's star showing such interest in me. In that moment, I brushed aside her attempt at connection. As she left work, she caught me off guard, demanding we dine together. With a glass of wine in hand, she pierced through the silence, asking, "Gavin, do you have a girlfriend?" My heart raced as I answered, "No, I'm too focused on mastering my role." "Ah, your demeanor is so grave. Yet, whispers suggest the executives hold great expectations for you. Your talent and linguistic prowess are undeniable." "A true rising star," she remarked, her eyes filled with admiration. I attempted to brush it off, replying that speaking multiple languages is commonplace here. And your humility, as well. You're truly remarkable, she said, her voice laced with an intensity that pierced through the air. Her words, though lacking the power to stir my heart, ignited a spark within her. As we continued to share meals, an unspoken bond formed, leading us into an unexpected relationship sanctioned by the company. With each business trip I took abroad, Lena's delight was palpable. It's incredible that you're embarking on solo international journeys after just a year. You truly are executive material, she'd proclaim, her eyes glimmering with a mix of pride and something deeper. As the years passed, my feelings for Lena deepened into something profound. When I finally proposed after 3 long years, her joy was palpable. I'm so thrilled, she exclaimed, vowing to stand by me, unwavering and resolute, ready to support me through whatever lay ahead. Following our marriage, Lena left her job. Many of her male colleagues felt a mix of sorrow and bitterness towards me, yet by that point, I had gained a solid standing in the sales department, silencing any dissent. Shortly after our wedding, we learned that Lena was expecting. We hurried through our days, yet Lena was deeply consumed by morning sickness, struggling to keep up with the demands of our home. I tried to help, pouring my efforts into every task, but nothing seemed to ease her distress. The sweet Lena who once showered me with affection had disappeared, leaving only shadows of what once was. I convinced myself that her actions were merely a consequence of the pregnancy, believing she would return to who she once was after the morning sickness faded. Yet, the truth was far more complex. When Hannah arrived, the nights turned into a relentless struggle. Lena would often insist that I care for her when I was home, leaving me to console a sobbing Hannah upon my late-night returns. On the rare days off, I found myself buried in cleaning and laundry. In my youth, I held the belief that postpartum women were fragile and deserved tender handling, a lesson instilled in me by my parents from abroad. Even in my weariness, I pushed through for my family. Lena frequently assigned me the burdens of home and child care, yet she never allowed me a moment's respite at work. Fortunately, Hannah stayed strong, evading any serious ailments. Years slipped away, and in the blink of an eye, 3 decades had passed, leaving my bond with Lena frigid. Still, I find solace in knowing I poured my heart into those I cherished. 5 years ago, when I ascended to the role of department head, we relocated to a high-rise apartment, fulfilling Lena's long-held desire. In the end, a department head at a renowned firm is meant to inhabit such an environment. For a fleeting moment, Lena appeared satisfied, and we shared a fragile harmony. Unfortunately, that tranquility was fleeting, and Lena's demeanor grew cold once more. She was ready to bear Hannah's burdens, yet turned her back on mine. The torment of enduring household duties with my tired, aging body was beyond words. The notion of divorce haunted me repeatedly, but the relentless distractions and Hannah's presence kept me from acting on those dark thoughts. She whispers my name with disdain, her words sharp and cutting, meant for my ears alone. Fine, I'll take my leave. I murmured softly in the stillness of the early morning, slipping away from the house. At this moment, work is my sanctuary. After navigating the travel chaos and finally boarding the plane, I shut my eyes. A weight settled over me, a reminder of the restless night that had stolen my sleep. As I shut my eyes, the words exchanged between Lena and Hannah replayed in my thoughts. How amusing, pretending to be innocent with that self-righteous demeanor. It's infuriating, truly. As I emerged from the living room, coffee in hand, Lena's complaints pierced the air. It's his relentless efforts that afford us this life, isn't it? I wish you'd make more of an effort to keep him content. Hannah, her laughter a thin veil over the tension, attempted to soothe Lena's ire. In her youth, Hannah clung to me, her voice sweetly calling me Dad. But as she entered her teenage years, a shift occurred, rebellion took root in her heart. Meanwhile, she found solace in Lena, who, though lacking in nurturing, embodied a vibrant allure that drew Hannah in. Lena, detached from the burdens of motherhood, is on a quest for Hannah, whose gentle words mask a deeper cunning. Unlike me, with my incessant reminders and concerns over costly choices like high school or college, Hannah plays her cards with precision, weaving through our lives to secure her own advantage. At first, Hannah's defiance unsettled me, yet I found solace in her newfound compliance. However, a pivotal moment unveiled the darkness within her. I once chastised her for her lack of ambition post-graduation, dismissing her pursuits as mere bridal training while she idled away her time. Now, words escape me, leaving only a chilling silence. "Dad, are there any good men at your company? I long to find someone as dependable and amazing as you," Hannah would sometimes say when I was home, almost as if she were trying to charm me. "If I come across someone worthwhile, I'll make sure to introduce him to you." I'd reply with a smile, yet inside, my heart had turned to ice. Ultimately, Hannah seems to seek a convenient source to exploit, much like Lena. One casualty in this family is sufficient, so I've been avoiding the truth, feigning interest elsewhere. It's telling that he never brings any men into my world. At 28, I yearn for the swift embrace of marriage, to embody the poised stay-at-home wife you are, Mom. Hannah is deep into her refined bridal preparations, isn't she? Yet, those dull men like him only weigh me down. I wouldn't suggest it, their laughter feels like a dagger. But if you're seeking enjoyment, there are countless paths to take. "Oh, Mother, must you truly say that in front of your daughter?" They erupted in laughter, oblivious to my silent entrance. I stood there, a shadow among them, pondering what to do with those two. Yet, they are my family, bound by ties that run deep. I sipped my coffee, a bitter reminder of the void within me. Sleep eluded me, the darkness creeping in as I found myself in Bangkok, the weight of my thoughts heavy on my shoulders. As I stirred from my slumber, thoughts lingered like shadows. Exiting the plane, a wave of clarity washed over me, a sharp departure from the weight that clung to me at home. At the airport, the local staff awaited, their presence a reminder of the path ahead as I was led to the branch office. In that moment, we unraveled the intricacies of the deal. Thailand stood as a crucial cornerstone in Southeast Asia for our enterprise, its significance undeniable. On the last day of my journey, after navigating the negotiations with precision and sealing the contract, only my return home lingered in the air. A letter from Japan found its way to the hotel where I was staying. Why resort to mail when a call or email from the company would have sufficed, especially since it bore my name? Intrigued, I opened it to reveal a solitary piece of paper. As I unfolded it, my heart sank. It was a divorce paper, signed and stamped by Lena. Mailing the documents to Bangkok, couldn't she have held off until my return to Japan? Frustration simmered within me as I picked up the phone to call Lena. How curious. Did the package arrive, by any chance? Her voice carried an undercurrent of significance. Indeed, the divorce papers did. What is this really about? I inquired, maintaining my composure. Lena's grin widened, her laughter echoing in the air. What do you think? I want a divorce. You've been neglecting the family so much that I've finally run out of patience, she declared, her voice steady yet laced with unspoken hurt. Is that so? I replied, a chill settling in the air between us. Lena let out a derisive laugh. I'm not joking. Even our daughter is on board with the divorce. She continued her relentless tirade, leaving no room for my voice. And just like that, I find myself facing a substantial alimony. Thank you. This is all on you for constantly neglecting the family. In the distance, Hannah's voice echoed through the tension. Indeed, it all falls on Dad. You must own up to this, she scolded, her voice laced with bitterness. This will simplify everything for us. As their insults rained down, Lena's laughter pierced the air. Why the silence? Is he stunned by the breakup? Perhaps he's weeping in the corner. I calmly interjected, acknowledging the moment, and said, it's time for a divorce. I will offer you all that I possess, without hesitation. And I will also claim the savings. You have no complaints, do you? I've been there for you all along, so a little gratitude wouldn't hurt. Just hand it over, Lena said, her smirk almost palpable through the phone. Understood. Let's move forward, I replied. As their triumphant laughter echoed in my ears, I ended the call. With a heavy heart, I whispered to myself that it was time to act. Upon my return to Japan, I wasted no time submitting the divorce papers and finalizing every detail. A wave of relief washed over me, a sensation long buried for 3 decades. I popped open a beer, sank into the chair on the deck, and savored the gentle breeze. A soft hum slipped from my lips, but the moment shattered as my cell phone blared to life. Who is it? I wondered, glancing at the phone. Lena's name glowed ominously on the screen. Hello. I picked up the phone, and Lena's frantic screams pierced the silence. What do you think you're doing? She shouted, her voice sharp and jarring. What do you mean? What's going on? I replied with an unsettling calmness. In that fleeting moment, her labored breaths filled the air, a sign of her struggle. A mention of a certificate of content broke the silence. She resumed speaking, her voice still trembling with exertion. As it stands, your betrayal has come to light with the divorce, and I demand restitution. But it goes deeper than that, doesn't it? I stated, my tone unwavering. Lena's voice quivered. Indeed, it reveals the truth that Hannah is not my daughter. You kept a painful secret into believing otherwise, and now I demand reimbursement for all the expenses I've shouldered in raising her. If you refuse, I will take this to court. But I cannot bear a burden of $400,000, she faltered. So, why not let Hannah's true father bear the cost? It seems only just, wouldn't you agree? What were you saying? She faltered. Don't pretend you don't understand. I'm aware of everything. Everything. My voice was barely above a whisper, causing Lena to gasp in terror. But he no longer possesses that kind of wealth. She stripped him of everything, savings, retirement fund, all of it. Her pitiful justification felt like a confession, revealing that Hannah belonged to another man. Frustration coursed through me as I confronted Lena's predictable folly. It's the former executive vice president Mr. Bennett, isn't it? I could almost hear her sharp intake of breath on the line. This revelation had only just come to light for me as well. It took me aback to discover that our wedding matchmaker was none other than your lover, Lena. She let out a groan, but then, as if a light bulb went off, she asked, did you inform Mr. Bennett's wife about this? I was taken by how quickly Lena grasped the situation for once. Indeed, you're sharp when it matters. I collected every piece of evidence and revealed the truth to his wife. This meddling is unbearable, she hissed, her teeth clenched in frustration. Yet, there was nothing more Lena could do. Her rage simmered beneath the surface, fueled by the years of deceit. Their son, a lawyer, wielded his connections to secure a formidable attorney. They succeeded in stripping him of nearly all his wealth, didn't they? I added. In that moment, his wife's words hung heavy in the air. She intended to pursue you for damages. What was your response? Lena's voice pierced the silence, a scream filled with anguish, followed by the unsettling sound of papers being tossed aside. Ah, this tension. She had also received a certified letter from Mr. Bennett's wife, demanding $50,000 in damages. I can't pay that. Wow, that's a staggering $350,000 in total. Remarkable. Wishing you the best with that. If funds are tight, perhaps consider parting with some property. Oh, that's right, the deed is in my name now, isn't it? Lena's voice brightened at my reminder, a flicker of triumph in her tone. Yes, it's all settled. So, I think it's time to end this conversation now. After the call ended, laughter escaped me, a dark melody of satisfaction. A year prior, I stumbled upon Lena's deceit and uncovered the reality of Hannah. And then there was my former boss, the ex-executive vice president Mr. Bennett. His hidden truth revealed itself during what was meant to be a simple dinner with a client. The client was delayed by an hour, and while I waited, I opted for a coffee. As I turned, I caught sight of Lena and Mr. Bennet entering together. Mr. Bennet, my boss, and Lena, a familiar face from the same company, shared a connection, especially since he had played the role of matchmaker at our wedding. We've kept up with our mid-year and year-end gifts, but the way Lena and Mr. Bennet were together that day struck me as more than mere acquaintances. There was an unsettling closeness, a clinginess that hung in the air. I said nothing, quickly turning away to ensure they remained unaware of my presence. They were positioned just out of sight, a pillar standing between us. The restaurant was hushed, yet their voices cut through the silence. "Lena, it's been too long." "Yes, I imagined we would spend more time together now that you've retired, yet you never reach out." Lena's tone dripped with disappointment. "My mistake. My mistake. In the past, any excuse sufficed while I was busy, but now that I'm home, it's a struggle to find a reason to step outside. I was lost in my thoughts. Mr. Bennet must have stepped away last year, so why this unexpected closeness?" Lena's tone shifted dramatically, a stark contrast to her usual detachment. "How's Hannah? Is she thriving?" Lena inquired, her voice dripping with warmth. "Yes, she's completely obsessed with K-pop idols now, making a scene about attending their concerts," Mr. Bennet responded. At the mention of Hannah's name, my attention sharpened. "Is that true? No potential suitors on the horizon?" Lena pressed on, unfazed. I constantly urge Gavin to present her with some worthy young men, yet that inept fool fails to deliver even one respectable suitor," she seethed. "Did she just label me as incompetent?" Mr. Bennet chuckled softly, deriding me in the process. "I suppose that's only natural for him. He never considered the future. For 3 decades, he raised a child that wasn't his, completely unaware of the truth." The thought of someone else's child reverberated in my mind, filling me with dread. "It was just after Gavin's proposal that I lowered my defenses," Mr. Bennet said, a hint of bitterness in his voice. "But at least Gavin never wavered, he was convinced she belonged to him alone." They shared laughter, a moment of pure joy. "I long to proclaim to the world that she is my daughter. After only having sons, welcoming a daughter later in life feels profoundly significant," Mr. Bennet revealed. "I'm glad to hear that. Hannah understands you're her true father and takes pride in it," Lena replied. "Is that the case? If she needs anything, ensure she comes to me." "I want my precious daughter to have the best," Mr. Bennet said. "Let's go dine at a fancy restaurant together sometime soon," Lena suggested, her tone insistent, but I was well past the point of concern. "Hannah knows her true father, and she takes pride in it." My vision blurred, and a chill ran down my spine. I felt lightheaded, struggling to remember the rest of their words. Somehow, I slipped out of the restaurant without a soul noticing and called my client to cancel our meeting, feigning illness. The client expressed regret, worried for my well-being. I couldn't help but whisper to myself that strangers show more kindness. Betrayal has seeped in from my former boss, my wife, and even my daughter, all along. I can't recall the journey home, but when I regained consciousness, I found myself on my bed. Lena and Hannah were still absent. As I gazed at the ceiling, a vow formed in my heart: I would unearth the truth about Lena and Mr. Bennet. Engaging a private investigator swiftly validated my darkest fears. They had been entangled in an affair, and the betrayal ran deeper. It began long before our vows were exchanged. In a hushed conversation with a retired individual, I discovered that their secret relationship had been the subject of whispers long ago. Then, the truth-revealing test arrived. One fateful night, as Hannah stumbled home intoxicated and succumbed to slumber in the living room, I seized the opportunity to collect a saliva sample in silence. Despair consumed me as I grappled with the truth about the daughter I had once adored. The revelation of her betrayal, mirroring Lena's treachery, extinguished any remnants of love, leaving only a seething rage in its wake. The results were undeniable. She was never truly mine. As I stared at the damning proof of Lena and Mr. Bennet's betrayal, along with the truth-revealing test results, a laugh escaped me, cold and empty, echoing the void within. I vowed to expose them, to watch their reputations crumble. A year passed in silence, each day a calculated wait. When Lena deceived me, claiming a getaway with friends while she was with Mr. Bennet, I seized the opportunity without hesitation. I reached out to Mr. Bennet's wife, laying bare the secret relationship with the evidence I had meticulously collected. Her face drained of color as she confronted the truth, yet she vowed to stand by me. Together, with a formidable lawyer and her son, we dismantled Mr. Bennet's world piece by piece. He was exiled, just as his wife had vowed. Now, it's your moment. Her words echo in my mind as I return to her 3 days later. Lena called me again, her voice trembling with urgency. "What's the meaning of this?" she shouted. "What do you mean, what's the meaning of this?" I shot back, my patience wearing thin. "Perhaps you should broaden your vocabulary," I retorted, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Lena exhaled sharply, her frustration palpable. "You handed over the deed to that desolate mountain. It's utterly devoid of value." I spoke with a real estate agent, who warned me of the financial loss in selling. The maintenance fees and taxes loom like a dark cloud. I responded to her frantic objections with a chilling calmness. "You desired all that I possessed. Consider it granted. I appreciate it, truly. The land from Grandpa felt like a weight I could no longer bear, so your decision to take it off my hands was a relief." My sarcastic gratitude likely left Lena seething in silence. Then, a voice pierced through the tension, shouting, "Mom, it's a disaster." "Wait, Dad, is that really you?" The call shifted to video, revealing Lena's furious expression and Hannah's shocked pallor. "I just went to the bank to check our account." "Mom, please, just breathe. Less than $100 remained." Lena's jaw dropped in disbelief. "Dad, what's happening?" Hannah shot me a furious look. "There's nothing left, you all squandered it." I responded with a chilling calmness. Lena shot me a furious look, her voice rising in anger. "Examine it closely. My paycheck arrives, doesn't it? Yet, month after month, it vanishes without a trace. And those bonuses? They've all been funneled into your lavish getaways, high-end handbags, and indulgent lavish lifestyle choices. No way, that can't be true." But as Hannah stared at the bank statements, her face revealed the turmoil within. She was utterly stunned. "Gavin," Lena continued, "it's your duty to protect your wife and daughter. Yet here you stand, unable to save even a single penny. You are nothing but a failure." I faced her biting words with an icy reply. "Since our marriage, I've denied myself every desire, pouring everything into you and Hannah. And what did I receive in return? Betrayal and scorn. Why should I cater to someone who regards me in such a way?" Behind Lena, I caught a glimpse of Mr. Bennet lurking. It appeared he had been watching from the shadows all along. Cast aside by his wife, he surely found refuge at Lena's. "Gavin, it's been a while, hasn't it?" Mr. Bennet remarked, striving for composure, yet his appearance kept a painful secret a deeper turmoil. "It's been a while, Mr. Bennet," I stated with unwavering resolve. His expression contorted as I pressed on. "After a lifetime of betrayal, you find yourself cast out, stripped of home and wealth. What is it you seek from me?" Mr. Bennet managed a smile, though it didn't reach his eyes. "What's wrong, Gavin? This isn't the man I know. We're discussing the woman who has stood by your side for 3 decades and the daughter you hold dear. Enough with the pettiness, lend them a hand, can you?" His words ignited a fire within me. "Help? Why should I? If your concern is genuine, why not extend your hand to Lena and Hannah?" Mr. Bennet merely shrugged, a hint of sorrow in his gaze. "Gavin, I've become just an old man. My connection with Lena wasn't as you imagine. She was merely offering me assistance. So please, with a generous heart, help Lena and Hannah. And me too, in our time of need. I watched him, understanding now that his shamelessness had always been there, but only now did the truth reveal itself. In that moment, Hannah's voice pierced the air, a desperate cry filled with anguish, "Dad, your daughter is in dire straits. We can't even put food on the table. You cut off the credit card, don't you recall? It's been dead to us since yesterday." "Then, Hannah, perhaps you should focus on supporting your true father," I said with icy detachment. "What are you saying?" "You're my father," she retorted, her gaze burning with intensity and resolve. "Didn't you claim you'd prefer a wealthy executive as your father over someone like me, who you deem incompetent? If that's truly how you feel, then you should hold dear the father you admire so much," I said, attempting to lead her to the truth. Hannah erupted. "What are you saying?" "Yes, I heard he was wealthy and had an impressive degree, but now he's just a destitute, unemployed old man. I don't need someone who can't even afford to give me anything." She began to stomp and scream, while Mr. Bennet, standing next to her, appeared frozen in fear. "So, you handed everything over to Lena, did you? This house is hers now, as she claimed. We could sell it and make a considerable profit." In a moment of panic, Mr. Bennet exclaimed, "Yes, that's true. In the towering luxury of the high-rise, $1 million prize awaited. Right, Lena?" Hannah's fury dissipated, replaced by a chilling smile. "That's incredible. We're secure for the time being." Mr. Bennet glanced at me, a smile masking deeper thoughts. "Gavin, I regret to inform you that we will be selling the condo you purchased, using the proceeds for living expenses and alimony." I revealed a stark truth. "What do you mean?" "This condo was never in my name, so it doesn't belong to Lena." Lena stood there, disbelief etched on her face. "But this isn't what you vowed. You promised me everything you owned." I smiled, a chill creeping into my voice. "Yes, that's precisely why I handed over the ownership of those mountains to you. And let's not forget the furniture and appliances you indulged in for your hobbies, all purchased with my card, yet now they belong to you." "These mountains are nothing but a burden," Lena exclaimed, collapsing onto the floor. "Then whose name is this condo under?" Hannah shot back, her voice laced with tension. Suddenly, a figure emerged beside me, prompting screams from Hannah and the others. It was Daniel, my childhood friend turned employer. "What employer? What are you talking about?" Lena questioned, her confusion palpable. "I left my job and found myself in Bangkok, Thailand," I revealed. "Daniel has been managing a company here and had extended an invitation to me before. I kept it to myself, knowing you would never accept it. After the divorce, a sense of liberation washed over me, and my mind immediately turned to working with Daniel." But then Lena's voice cut through, questioning the fate of the condo. Daniel stepped in, taking control of the situation. "It's been a while, Lena. I wonder if you recall our brief encounter at the wedding. I acquired this condo with a vision, not merely as a financial venture. I was selective about who would inhabit it. So, when Gavin expressed his need for a home, I offered him the opportunity to rent it, allowing him to gather the resources to realize his dream house in the twilight of his career. So that's why the condo belongs to Daniel." I observed Lena and the others, their faces falling as their plans to sell crumbled. Daniel, unfazed, continued with a smile, "You'll likely hear from the real estate agent, but do make sure to vacate by the end of this month. I rented it to Gavin and his family, but now that you and he are no longer together, Lena, you feel like a ghost. And Hannah, she was never truly his daughter, was she? So why should I extend the courtesy of renting to you?" The air thickened as Lena and the others erupted into a cacophony of accusations and bitter words. It all began with Mom igniting Dad's fury. "I warned you to manage it more wisely," I remarked. Initially, Mr. Bennet urged me to deceive Gavin into believing Hannah was his child when I found myself expecting. "If you choose to weave a web of lies, have the strength to see it through. Your downfall was in your carelessness. This is on you." The confrontation had turned bitter and intolerable. If you wish to argue, save it for another time. Gather your things now. I'm ending this call, I declared with conviction. The trio shot me icy glares. Then Lena's voice broke through, pleading, "Gavin, it was all a misunderstanding. It was a mistake. My heart belongs to you. In my youth, I was kept a painful secret by a man I trusted. Hannah was a misstep, and I have no use for her now. Let's act as if the divorce never took place. I've suffered too, so let's return to the way things used to be." "I was just lonely and foolish," she pleaded, desperation lacing her voice. Hannah seized the phone from Lena's grasp. "Dad, you're the only father I have left. You've always been my protector. Ignore what Mom says. Let's escape together, just the two of us. One day, you'll see your grandchildren. May I join you as well?" Without hesitation, Mr. Bennett interjected, "Gavin, Bang is a remarkable option. Southeast Asia is thriving. I would be eager to join that company as well. My accomplishments, regardless of my age, are undeniable. Please connect me with your friend Daniel." The trio clashed over the phone, barbs flying like arrows. Daniel and I stood by, stunned and heavy-hearted. In the end, I let the silence fall, quietly severing the connection. The past decade had been a relentless struggle for Daniel. He recognized the pain I endured in severing connections with those who had inflicted harm. As we clinked our cold beers, a wave of relief enveloped us, toasting to the liberation that awaited us both. The real estate agent's order forced Lena and her friends out of the condo, despite their desperate attempts to stay. Unfortunately, her family turned their backs on them, leaving them to drift from one internet cafe to another. Mr. Bennett's situation was even bleaker. His wife's influential ties had effectively barred him from finding work or a place to call home. In the end, his desperation ignited illegal issues, culminating in his arrest. As I pondered these events, a bittersweet sense of vindication washed over me, mingled with the heavy weight of the personal cost that betrayal and hardship exact. Ashamed, Lena and Hannah slipped away from the city, leaving behind whispers of their retreat into the remote mountains, shrouded in secrecy. Since that moment, I became part of Daniel's company, and our sales have risen steadily. The kindness of those around me fills the emptiness left by Lena and Hannah. Sharing a beer with Daniel after work, delving into business discussions and memories, has turned into my greatest solace, even amidst my exhaustion. I'm profoundly thankful for this transformation. Looking back, I realize I squandered time by misreading others, yet those experiences have shown me the value of the remarkable people in my life. In the future, I intend to hold my connections and moments even closer.